So today is a short update of this Chevrolet Corvette Stingray that I had in the loads to do all the fluids, change all the fluids and grease all the points. It's a car from 1971. It's the biggest, I think the biggest block. It has 365 horsepower. So I had it on the lift and started by doing all the grease points. There are 12 in total. And they had some old grease in it. And they really needed some new grease. So all the points, all the steering rack and all the pivot points and the lower and ball joint and the top ball joints. And then at the same time I had to check the car for its overall condition. The owner had some work done on it, but it wasn't clear if all the fluids had been changed. So here's the view of the rear axle, which is a limited slip differential, and I was gonna take out the filling plug and then suck the oil out and then drain it twice. So you have everything cleaned, and then there's a little bit of an additive that you put in for the limited slip differential. In order to get to that, needed to get this, it's a whole tray for the spare tire that's underneath the car. There's not really a boot in this car, and I didn't know that with Corvette C3s, but there's a gas tank and there's a spare tire, and that's it. And whilst checking the car from the bottom, there were some peculiarities. So there was one bolt missing in one of the drive shafts going to the wheel. Well, that isn't optimal since again it has 365 horsepower, so that we had ordered. The other thing was the car is pretty low to the ground, and here we have the car hitting some speed bumps. I was afraid that there was a crack in the sump, but it turned out it was heavily dented, but luckily there's no crack, so I didn't have to weld that. Overall condition is, well, there's some surface rust on the car, but nothing serious. The rest, the body panel is all fiberglass, but the frame itself is steel. Here's just pointing out a bolt that was hit also on a speed bump that was pushed backwards, but overall, it was just this minor surface rust, and I told them I was going to take care of that, and then we might also do the internal, the hollow, the tube itself and the doors itself once we're getting closer to the winter. For this, it was just mainly change all the oil. So that's steering oil, gear oil, engine oil, brake fluid, all of that. Here's just to show you that I took the gearbox oil out and both plugs. So we had the filling plug and the drain plug. They were pretty full of iron filings, as you can see here. So that's all coming off of all the gears. So I take it that hasn't been cleaned before, or at least not renewed for a long time. So I was happy to have changed this oil. And whilst I was underneath and I had the whole tray for the spare tire out, I thought I might as well put some wax on all of the exposed surface rust just to seat it off. So that's what you see here. There were a lot of spider webs everywhere. I didn't take them all off, and it doesn't really matter. But I sprayed the wax just on the sides, and everywhere there was some rust visible. I put a big layer of wax on, and that just made the owner happy, and it made me happy, because I want to preserve this car as best as can be. And then again, October, we might do the hollow, the frame itself and the doors, another coating of wax everywhere. It doesn't seem to have had this when it entered the country, and it's just nice to have everything with a nice layer of wax, stopping the rust from going or getting serious or going any further. So that's what you see here. And I didn't really film all the changing of the fluids. It's pretty straightforward. It's not very interesting. The only thing that was kind of surprising to me, that they did not put the correct length of lower hose to the radiator. It was only holding on by like a centimeter, so that's like a half an inch on either end of the steel tube. So one on the radiator and two on the steel tube going to the engine. So we had to change that hose as well, and got a longer hose on. It's these little things, well, wanted to get to know the car and make it better than it was. So here we have the issue with the brakes. Here you can see that the rear brake reservoir of the master cylinder is empty, and that means it's leaking out somewhere. So we took off the rear discs. The rear discs have a double function, so the foot pedal operates the brake caliper on the disc, and then you have on the center you have the shoes that are operating as a drum brake, and that's operated by your handbrake. And here I'm explaining there was a system that had these clamps over the rear swing arm, and they would clamp the brake cable away, the handbrake cable away from the tire. This did not work really well. I mean, the handbrake wasn't really operating with this, so I took these off, and then I found out that the reason why is that this brake cable is now hanging closer to the tire and is actually rubbing against the tire. It has pretty wide tires mounted. So here we have the brake caliper that we now cleaned, and everything was actually working fine. And so although it seemed to drag, it turned out that these limited slip differentials, they make the shafts go very, very difficult to turn them. So I thought it was dragging. It was not dragging at all. So this brake caliper is working fine, and actually they look pretty new. So I think they've been changed. So I immediately checked the disc brakes as well, but they were well within thick enough, so they have a lot of meat on them. They're very, also though I think they've been changed. Both the surface of the brake pads and the surface for the brake shoes is perfectly fine. There's no damage there, and they look like they've been renewed pretty recently. So having checked those on both ends, here is just showing you how difficult it is to turn the drive axle, even when the brake caliper is all disassembled and off. And that purely has to do with the limited slip differential, as I was told, although I don't have that much experience with those. So the other side, we did the same thing. We took them off. We cleaned everything. We checked everything. And here we have the same issue. This is to show where the handbrake cable goes, and that's how it was pulled up. And therefore, while pulling up, the handbrake could not be really applied on the rear. So I'm going to try and change this whole system. So here you see the underside of the wheels on the right. So the handbrake cable is rubbing on the tire. So my option is that this bracket, if I bring this bracket more towards the middle of the car, more inside to the car, if I move it, then I will pull the cable away from the tire. And although the cable itself will become longer in the middle, I can probably adjust that, or I can adjust that. So same goes for this side. I'm going to move these two brackets inwards, and therefore get the cables away from the tire, and then reattach them. So drill some holes and cut some thread and reassemble the whole thing. So here's just to show you I did the right side. So I moved the bracket inwards on the car to the left, and you see the old hole. So I moved it in about 7.5 centimeters, like 3 inches. So here you can still see where the clamp was, and now the cable is much more hanging in its normal position. Now the cable still works again, and it has a lot less resistance. So by not pulling it up, it has its natural flow back. So just have to do it on the left side, and then we call this fix a lot better than what it used to be, because the car did not have a working handbrake. bent. So, and I have a new, as they call them, Mickey Mouse clips. It's kind of funny, but I guess, yeah, they look like Mickey Mouse. So that's the clip that goes over the outer cable and it keeps it into this bracket. So now the bracket is okay. Just got to drill a bigger hole for the bigger bolt. Oh, well, I guess it's an American size. So. Okay, now it's fine. So I did all the fluids, extra things. Handbrake didn't work. Handbrake was touching the wheels. Did all the grease points, did all the brake fluid, and that showed that the master brake cylinder is somewhat leaking. And I have a feeling that the brake booster doesn't work very well either. So I think we will see this car back at some point. But it is a monster.